Ready? Let's go.
Go. All right.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 8? 8?
8.
8. 8. Woo! Of the Luminary Agent Podcast. I am your co-host, Cody Martens, the founder and CEO here at Luminary Agent.
And I'm Sarah Jacquier, our content director.
Fabulous co-host extraordinaire. So, first of all, this is I feel like this is our second actual podcast because the first 6 were like, we were still getting our podcast sea legs. So
They were a little quiet.
yeah, they're definitely wearing us.
A little
so
tame.
Yeah. So we're excited to be much more upbeat and ready to go. Today's topic is a great one. This is actually a blog post that Sarah, I think you wrote this a couple years ago, right?
It's been a while. Yeah, I think it was sometime last year.
Yeah, it's been a little while, but it's one that I feel like I reference a lot with our clients and just with, people that I talk to about social media in general. I think it's one that really resonates with people and provides a lot of value. So I'm excited that we're able to bring it to people on the podcast today.
Me too.
So what is our topic for today, Sarah?
So we are going to talk about questions you should ask yourself to make sure your social media post is a good one. And I just wish that whether or not people were asking themselves these 7 questions or not, that people would think about whether or not their post is good and relevant to their audience before they hit the post button, because really it can actually damage your image to post things that aren't good, right?
Yeah, well, that's absolutely right. And I think the bigger problem is that if you're consistently posting something that somebody wouldn't find interesting, at some point they're going to A, just start ignoring you, or B, they might actually unfollow your posts.
Yeah.
And then if you start posting good stuff after that, it doesn't matter because you've lost the right to be seen by that person, right?
Right. And with all the noise out there, there are so many things for people to pay attention to on social media. I don't think you have very much time before people tune you out.
Yeah.
One bad post might do it.
Well, and it might, because they might be like, "Meh, that's crap," and
yeah.
And if you have not earned the right to maybe have a miss, then you're definitely going to be out of the running. I think that if you have provided really great, valuable content over time, and then you have one that's not that great, somebody's not going to be like, that's it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But if it's your first post right out of the gate, or if you've never really offered something of true value, then what's the point? What's their reason for continuing to follow you? And that's really the reason why we want you to ask these 7 questions, is to make sure that the posts that you are putting up on social media are posts that people want to see, right?
Right.
And so these are basically 7 filtering questions that you can ask yourself before you post to make sure that the post you are putting up is one that you should actually put up.
Now, Cody, I'm a little worried we're scaring people. This is a lot of pressure. Don't ever make a mistake with your social media post. And that's actually not what we're saying. And
No.
This is not hard to do. You just have to know what questions to ask, right?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, it's not, honestly, we even talked about in the last episode that an Instagram story, it disappears in 24 hours anyway. It's not like it has to be a Super Bowl commercial level. It doesn't have to be that monumentous. But if you're constantly and we mentioned this in the last episode, but if you're constantly just posting your listings, you're not giving people a reason to continue to follow you. And so why would they continue to follow you, or why would they follow you in the first place? And so these are just 7 really easy, simple questions that you can ask yourself before you put something on social media that just helps you know whether or not that's a good post. And then it also helps guide you about what to create going forward, you know?
I think these questions can help change your mindset, and eventually you won't even have to think about it. By instinct, you'll know what's going to work and what's not. But if you don't know what to do right now, this will help you get your mindset in a better place to be successful on social media.
That's like the best way to frame that. That's what we should have said from the beginning.
Yeah, well, sometimes it
but
takes
here
us
we
a while
are
to get
now,
there.
right?
Here we are.
Okay, cool. So what is question number 1 that you should ask yourself before posting onto social media? Take it away, Sarah.
Okay, honestly, this might be the most important thing. If you only ask yourself one question, it might be this: would I find this post interesting? Now, be honest. You've seen real estate social media accounts where somebody's posting a link about interest rates going up 0.5% over the next 6 months. And are you going to click on that? Maybe. Are your neighbors going to click on that? What about your mom? What about your brother? Are those people going to click on that link and read it? And what is that going to do for the person who's posting it?
Yep. I think that's super right. And like this happens all the time. It happens with me too, by the way, where when I have my consumer hat on, as I call it, when I'm just like browsing through Facebook because I'm killing time, I look at certain posts, right? Like there are certain posts that catch my eye. There are certain posts that don't. And this is almost subconsciously happening, right? Like we just kind of notice the things that we notice and don't notice the things that we don't. But then when I start to post for the business, all of a sudden it's, what do I want people to see and not what do they want to see from me, right?
Yeah.
So my perception changes. And what I need to be doing is I need to be learning from when I have my consumer hat on, like, okay, what are the things that I'm looking at? What are the things that I'm actually finding interesting? And then I can go ahead and take what I'm learning from myself and apply it to when I'm actually creating the content, right?
Right. Yeah. You know, I was at a friend's house this afternoon and she said that people don't learn anything that they don't want to learn. And I actually really think that's true. If somebody doesn't want to learn it, it doesn't matter how important it is that they do, or if they should or not, or whatever. If they don't want to learn it, they're not going to. And I think sometimes agents post things they think people need to know, but that may not matter.
Right. It may not be something like, exactly like, oh, what does private mortgage insurance mean? I mean, like we see people post like glossary terms basically, right? And it's like, okay, that's great and everything, but do I really care about that? Like the consumer, is that something that I actually have any desire to learn whatsoever?
Yeah.
You know? And if it is something that I need to know, can you frame it in a way that would actually make me pay attention instead of just putting a definition on social media? Like that's ridiculous.
Yeah. For a good example of this, I was at a Super Bowl party a couple weeks ago. I still don't know how football, I can't even talk about it, football works. And my husband has explained it so many times. And it's not that I can't understand how it works. I just don't care to understand how it works. So it just goes right over my head. I just don't care.
Right.
Whereas I love basketball and I know exactly how basketball works. It's because I don't care to learn it. So you have to keep that in mind.
And also it's, some things aren't important to you until they are, right? So if you're not actually like in the market for a house, a lot of the things, if I'm a realtor and I'm only putting out realtor content, that information may only be important to me once for a few months every 5 to 7 years. And so you have to think about like, am I putting out information that most people don't care about right now, you know?
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
So would I find this post interesting? That's question number 1, which is awesome. What are some ways that you can actually make your post more interesting?
So I think we'll be talking about this forever. One of the key things is to tell a story, right? You just mentioned what's a way that you can frame something. You were talking about private mortgage insurance. What's a way you can frame that so that people care about it? And that's the key. You need to add a story, maybe about a client, maybe it's about you, maybe it's about something you read, but stories are so much more memorable than facts.
Yep. That's so true. That's a good one. Another one is video. I mean, just
Yeah.
like the fact of using video, like I have started to tell our clients, they'll say like, ooh, this is a really good link. I think we should share this link. And I'm like, instead of sharing the link, why don't you record a video that talks about what is in that link, right? So if it's a link
Right.
to a real estate article, why don't you talk about what on camera? Why don't you talk about on camera what was mentioned in that article? Because number one, you're creating a video out of it. Number two, you're creating your own custom content instead of sharing someone else's. And number three, you're able to add your own take on it, right? You're able to provide
Right.
additional value there. So I think go ahead.
I just saw a stat that said that people retain what they see on video like 90% better. It's a huge difference between
Wow.
people reading it or skimming it and listening to somebody talk about it. And if they're listening to you talk about it, that's even better. They're seeing your face, they're hearing your voice.
Right. Yes. And one tip I would add to that is if you do a video, make sure that you add captions to it, because most people watch video with the sound off because they're not in a place where they want to be annoying and run the video. They're in a waiting room somewhere, or, you know, they're waiting for something. There's people around them, so they don't want to be
Right.
loud about it, or they're at home and the baby's asleep, or the kids are in bed already or something. Right. And if you don't have your AirPods in or whatever, then you're going to be watching that with the sound off and being able to keep that information. Like if it's not a funny cat video where you don't need the sound,
Right.
like you need to be able to have that. Right.
Right. And can I also just say that you can actually talk about boring topics on video and have them be really interesting. Karen Carr, who we've talked about before, who is very successful at doing video, had a great video about local property taxes. It was extremely informative. It was fun to watch. And that's, a boring topic. People don't typically want to talk about property taxes. So video can change everything.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's awesome. Another one is questions, like using your post to actually ask a question, like an open-ended question. And I think that this tactic is better if it's something that's personal in nature and something that people have a strong opinion about. Like we talked about last week, doing those like, oh, this stock photo of a kitchen or this stock photo of a kitchen. That's
don't ask
bullcrap.
questions about stock photos. Don't do it. Don't post stock photos. Just don't do it.
That's crap. But if you can ask, like I had mentioned, if you can ask a question like, okay, should I paint my office this paint swatch or this paint swatch? Everybody's got a damn opinion about that, right?
Yeah. Or I really want to go to dinner. Where's your favorite place that you recently went to dinner? Everybody's going to have something.
Oh my gosh. That one's actually a really great one. Especially I see that in our local Facebook group, like our neighborhood Facebook group that I'm in. That one is one that I see all the time that I think is really great. So yeah, that's a great one.
Just put a little thought into your questions. The bottom line there.
Yeah, exactly.
Another way that you can really make your post interesting is to share personal facts. And I know people get worried about sharing too much information, especially if it's a business page or it's a business post, and you're friends with your clients, but you really want to share parts of yourself that people might not get to know otherwise.
Well, the bottom line is people do business with people, not companies. And the more that you can be personal and the more that you can give people a reason to latch onto you, to have things in common with you, more of those like touch points, right? Where they can say, oh, this person is like me. The more you can do that, the better off you're going to be. So all of those things that we talked about, telling stories, doing videos, asking questions, or sharing personal facts, all of those things will help make sure that you are posting something that's interesting. So number 2 in the question you should ask yourself is, what one action do I want someone to take with this post? This is a good one for a couple of reasons. But I also want the caveat that like sometimes the call to action on a post might simply be just a reaction or a thought, right? You may just want somebody to think that was funny, or you may just want somebody to watch the video to get to know you better. Like the call to action doesn't need to be a literal call to action. Like every post
Right.
doesn't need to have a comment here or click this link or buy now. Like you don't need that like clear call to action on every one, but it should be like every post that you put up should have a purpose. I think is like really what we want to say here is like the post should be to get people to get to know you better, to engage with you, or maybe it is like, I want you to look at this listing or I want you to read this blog post. Like you can be very direct with it as long as the call to action has a purpose.
Right. I agree with that. And of course, keep track of whatever you've decided is important and look at the stats there, which is not really possible on a personal page. But even then, you can look at your interaction that you're getting and seeing how successful you're being. You know, you can tell if you're doing a good job or not.
Yeah, you totally can. And some stuff like does really well and some stuff totally bombs. And you know that just by kind of looking at it, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And then you can tweak going forward. So
yeah, right. Because then you actually have a purpose behind it.
Right. And I will say, I think your purpose may be different for a business page versus a personal page. And that's something we talked about last week.
Yeah, totally. So episode 7 was the last episode, obviously. I can count down. I can count from 8 to 7.
Wow.
This is what it
Good job,
takes to
Cody.
be an entrepreneur, kids.
That's all you got to do. Piece of cake.
Okay, cool. So question number 2 was, what one action do I want someone to take with this post? So question number 3 is, will enough people see this post? Will enough people see this post? Will anybody see this post? Is anybody out there listening?
It's a good question.
Or am I in a void?
And, you know, this may have changed a little bit since we wrote this post, honestly. But if you're on a business page and you just post something, we talked about this last week, very few people are going to see it. It's probably not worth your time to post on a business page without putting some money behind it.
Yeah, I've actually really started to take that like pretty seriously, actually. And because it's the truth. And now that I've been thinking about it, I've been watching my own Facebook newsfeed like very clearly now. And I only see posts from personal friends of mine, from groups that I'm in, and from paid ads. Those are the three things I see.
Same for me.
It's very rare that I see an organic post from a business page. And if I do, it's usually on the days where I've already checked Facebook like 13 times.
Right.
And I've already
Or you've been to that page.
Or I've literally just went to that page. Exactly.
Yeah.
You
It is
know,
extremely rare. I actually notice it when it happens because it's so rare.
Right. You're like, oh, wait. Oh, this isn't sponsored. This is native. Yeah. Ooh, it's like a unicorn.
It is like a unicorn.
Not as cool as a unicorn, but it's the same
Not
concept.
quite. Not usually as colorful.
That's true.
I just think people need to get it through their heads that you're going to post on a business page and you're going to pay for it.
It's not free anymore.
Step 2.
It's not free.
It's not free.
And we're not saying that you'll never get organic traffic. Like, that's not what I'm saying. Because every once in a while, like every once in a blue moon, you'll put up a post that like actually does super well organically.
It's true.
But that is so rare. That is the exception, not the rule. And that is one of the big things that's changed in the past,
And you can't control that. You can't decide, I want this post to do really well organically, and then poof, it happens. It doesn't happen.
Yeah. Right.
It just
like I can't poof say I want a
unicorn.
unicorn and then poof, a unicorn shows up.
If only you could, Cody. If only.
I would too. Let's be honest.
I know you would.
Unicorns are awesome. Okay, so will enough people see this post is a good question to ask yourself. And if enough people aren't going to see the post, or you think that you want more people to see it, then put some money behind it is really what we're saying on that as far as a business page goes, right? The other thing is like, if you want more people to see it, then post it onto your personal profile, which we talked about in the last episode as well. Like just making sure that if you do post on your personal profile, that you're not using it strictly for business. So keep just listed, just sold, open house type things, keep those off of your personal profile because those are sales posts in nature. But everything else, I mean, I honestly just think that you're probably going to be fine with 98% of the other content that you post, you know?
Yeah. And I think it's relevant to mention here that we have clients who are really concerned about posting too much, especially on their personal pages. And I just don't think that's something you need to worry about at all, honestly.
Yeah.
Are you posting 10 times a day? Maybe you should worry about it then. Otherwise, I don't think this is a problem our clients have. They post way too little, not too much.
That's the opposite problem. If anything, they're using it as a crutch. Like their excuse to not post is, I don't want to post too much.
Yeah.
You do not have that problem. When you have that problem, then we'll worry about it at that point, right?
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
That's very much like cart before the unicorn.
It is. Cart before the unicorn. Did you just make that up?
I think so. All right. So what is the next question that people should ask themselves when trying to decide if their social media post is a good one?
So I think it's important to ask if this is something people may remember and may spark a conversation later. We have had clients talk about posts that we've done for them that clients have brought up when they've seen them in person or in an email or run into them at the grocery store or whatever. It's not that people are going to remember every single post. You're going to post a lot of things that people don't remember. But it's important to think about, is this something memorable or catchy or something that could potentially lead to a future conversation?
Yeah, totally. And you'll know what those are because people will do exactly as you said. Like you'll run into a client at dinner or something and they'll say, I saw that post that you did about property taxes. Like it was really great and I learned something. Like, thanks so much for doing that. Keep it up. I actually have been getting this a lot lately because we try to be very active on social media for Luminary Agent. And I get all of these people that I know in my personal life that when they see me, they've been saying like, we see your stuff all the time. Like we see that you've been really active on social media. And that to me is awesome because I know that they're paying enough attention that they remember seeing it and remember to talk to me about it when they saw me. Like that is literally the point of why we're doing it. Right. And and that is helping those people remember us as a company. But the same thing applies to you as a realtor. If you want people to remember you, that's the whole point of why you're doing this. So when you get these little snippets from people in real life where they're like, I saw this, or I've been seeing you, like that's your feedback that what you're doing is working.
Yeah. I mean, that's like a social media gold star, right? I don't think it gets better than that. Then if you have somebody mention a post that you made later, that's exactly what you want. And I also think that's the proof, right? Right. And also, over time, you'll realize what people like and what people pay attention to, and it helps you post more of those things. And that's harder to know at the beginning, but as you become more experienced, you get better at posting things that people remember.
Yeah. And so I think that's actually a really good thought because really that's the whole point of why we're giving people these 7 questions is to try and shorten the learning curve, right? We're trying to help you shorten the learning curve so that your posts can start becoming more relevant and can start being better posts in a shorter amount of time. And by asking these questions, that's what's going to help you actually accomplish that.
And it's going to be different for every individual agent's audience. So one time a couple years ago, I posted a Realtor.com article, which I don't typically do, but this one was really good. It was about getting a tattoo of your home, which is unusual and quirky. And I had to read it. But the thing that was so interesting to me was it did incredibly well with a couple of our clients. I mean, just off the charts, amazing. And the others, it was just kind of a dud. And I'm sure there are a lot of reasons for that. But my point is that one thing that does well for somebody is not necessarily going to do well for somebody else.
Yeah.
So you have to figure out your own audience.
Yeah, definitely. And so I think like the question is like, will people remember this post? I think maybe we could alter that a bit and say like, will my people remember this post? Right? Yep. Like, is this a post that my audience wants to see? And I think that you should do that for all of these questions that we've asked so far is you should you should somewhat personalize this. Like the first one's great. Like, would I find this post interesting? Like, I mean, you obviously are going to find more people that are like you on social media.
Yep.
So I think asking that question of yourself is a pretty easy thing to do. But like, you know, what one action do I want someone to take with this post? Like, what is an action that my clients, that my people on social media would take from this, you know? Will enough people see this post was the number 3 question. Will enough of my people see this post? And how do I make that go further? And then obviously, will my people remember this post? Question number 4. Like those are all kind of really important points that I think that you need to make. So
Yep, I agree. And also, I'm sure our audience wants to know, would you ever get a tattoo of your house?
No, I would not ever get a tattoo of my house.
Good to know.
I have a tattoo, but it is not of my house, and I would never
I did not know that.
I do have a tattoo.
Didn't know that.
I do.
Is it a unicorn?
That's actually funny. I wish it was a unicorn. Maybe my next tattoo will be, but for right now, it's my zodiac symbol actually.
Okay.
Fun little fact about Cody.
Which
I have
is
a tattoo.
Is it Aries?
Pisces.
Pisces. Okay.
Yep. My birthday is coming
Very
up,
cool.
March 19th,
It is.
everyone. I will be 36.
Send unicorns.
Please send unicorns. All right. What is question number 5 that I should ask myself to make sure my social media post is a good one?
Okay, so I actually don't know that we think exactly what this post says anymore. This question is, can you use this post to track leads and referrals? And this is actually something that our clients ask us a lot. So
That's
Cody, take it
true.
away.
You know, things have actually changed a little
They
bit
have.
since we originally wrote this blog post. So this is actually a good like learning experience that we can have right here on the podcast. This really applies to if you are running ads, I would say.
Yes.
Or if you are doing organic social media posting, be it on your personal profile or your business page, which isn't really pointless, or isn't really a point to do so. But if you were doing it on your personal profile, that is brand, right? Like the reason that you are posting like natively on your Facebook profile or on your Instagram or even on LinkedIn, that's like a branding play. And branding and sales, marketing and sales are 2 different things, right? And it's funny, I was just listening to an old blog post or an old podcast from Gary Vee way back from 2016. And he was saying that people all of the time try to mix branding and sales. And that's where a lot of people have run into problems is they are, he calls it being half pregnant. You know, they're a little bit brand. So like they're trying to be a little bit value driven, but then there's this element of trying to sell to it as well. And he's a very big advocate of breaking them up. Like when you're marketing and branding, you're marketing and branding. And when you're selling, you are selling. And you make it very clear. And he's a testament to that. Like he is branding and marketing most of the time, but when he is selling something, he is like, buy my stuff. Like,
he's not shy about it at all.
He's not shy about it.
You know he's selling.
Yes. And so I think that's like, so when you are doing posts that are sales driven, then yes, you absolutely should be asking the question, can I use this post to track my leads? And that is because you want to know which ad you ran did the best.
Yeah.
You know? And the great thing is like the Facebook Ads Manager is pretty much going to tell you that automatically. Like you'll be able to see clearly from the numbers which ones are doing that. But you can also track things like your email newsletters. You can track the organic links that you put up. And actually, like if you use UTM parameters like Google Analytic search parameters, then you can actually keep track of what people are clicking on and what they are how they're coming to your site so that you actually know those things. And we wrote a blog post about how you can actually do that. And I will link to that in the show notes for this, for this podcast. But the one thing that I would caution you about with this one, and that's, I think, Sarah, what you were talking about, and the fact that we don't necessarily 100% agree with this one anymore, is the fact that, like, if you are branding, if you are putting a post out on social media that's not a buy this kind of a thing, then you shouldn't track your leads and referrals, because that's not the point of the post, right?
Right. I think this is a big pitfall for real estate agents, and I've talked to a lot of people about this. They want to see results right away from their social media, or even slow results, but they want to know exactly what leads came so that it justifies the time that they're spending on social media. And unfortunately, that's just not how social media works. It's worth doing, but you're not going to be able to track leads by doing it. So you really just need to push that concern aside and just let it go.
Yes, if you're doing branding and marketing for social media, not if you're running ads. If you're running ads, then you are selling on social media, and that you can use to track leads.
And you should. There's no point in doing it if you're not tracking.
Yeah, exactly. But branding is a marathon, not a sprint, and it's also not something that you can immediately or easily just track. Right. You know, how is this directly, what's the direct ROI on this? How's this impacting my business?
Yeah, exactly. So don't let that be an excuse to not post, is what we're saying.
That is what we're saying.
That's what we're saying. That's always what we're saying. So next, this is so important. Does this post match my audience demographics? Such an important post. Or such an important question to ask.
And that's actually what we were kind of talking about earlier when we're saying, like, go back and ask the thing about my audience, right? Like, does what I'm putting up match the actual people who are going to see this? Like, do my people, my friends, the people that like my page, is this shit that they want to know about? Or is this stuff that's not their jam? You know, and that's what knowing your audience, why knowing your audience is so important, because and honestly, it's why it's so important for you to create an audience of people that are like you. This is actually one of the core, like, philosophies or core things that I think that most of us get wrong, is that we try to be everything to everybody, and we don't try to just be ourselves and let the people who like who we are come to us. And the reason why I think that is so important is because when you build an audience of people that are like you, posting information that's going to match that audience is easy. Because it's just stuff that you would like too, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I just think, so often we see people who, they've got a bunch of middle-class homeowners that follow them on Facebook, and they're sharing about down payment assistance. And down payment assistance information is awesome, but not if most of your followers are homeowners. It's very tone deaf, and it truly does nothing to help you.
Yeah. Exactly. And it's like that thing where we talked about in a few episodes now, where you need to be as much of who you really are online as you are offline, because otherwise there's going to be a mismatch there, and people aren't going to understand, like, okay. And actually that was us in our first few podcasts is I went back and listened to them, and I was like, this is not us. Like, we didn't talk about any unicorns in the first 6 podcasts,
That's true.
And so, like, I went back and I was just like, this isn't us. We need to be more us, And because the people that are going to like this podcast are the people that are going to be like us, and they're going to be like the same thing and the same tone and the same stuff that we talk about. And so I just think that's so, so important, is making sure that you are yourself online. And when you are, it makes it easy to answer this question of, does the post match my audience demographics?
Yeah.
So there are a couple cool things too that you can use also to figure out a little bit about like who is your audience on social media. So like, for example, for your Facebook page, you can look at your audience insights, right? And it will tell you it'll tell you a little bit of demographic information about the people that have liked your page.
If you have a business page.
If you have a business page, obviously, yes.
Yeah.
The other thing that you can do is you can kind of go through your friend list and reverse engineer your audience and create an actual buyer persona, you know? Or another thing you can do is just think about who your ideal client is and create a buyer persona out of that. Because if you actually haven't intentionally been creating your audience from the start, the audience you have may not actually be the audience you want, especially if all of a sudden you're like, screw it, I'm going to start being exactly who I am on social media. Well, maybe it's because you were being not fully you before, you got some visitors, or you have created an audience of people who might not actually be your main audience, you know? So you may have to actually like kind of start from scratch or start to veer that in a direction that is intentional.
Yeah. And also, you know, you can post certain things for certain groups of people. If you truly have two separate groups of people, there are some good ways. And I think we have a blog post about this, Cody, that you can link in the show notes, but there are some good ways to make sure that you're only posting certain things for certain people. It takes a little more work, but if you have two really separate groups of people, that's probably worth thinking about doing.
Totally. I think that's like the newsfeed hacks one that we talk about, where we're telling people like, and a great thing about that too is like, another thing I'm telling people all the time is if you want to post stuff that's truly personal and you don't want everyone to see it, make your non-personal friends and acquaintance on social media, and then share your stuff to friends except acquaintances. Right. And
that's then you can still have your political rants and your, you know, everything else that you probably don't want to share with your clients.
Exactly. So like, that's actually a great, like, does this post match my audience demographics, or like, is this something that I would want my clients to see? Right. Yeah, and if the answer is no, maybe you do post it as friends except acquaintances. I mean, maybe we're not saying like, don't post it, especially if you're posting on your personal profile and you want to be able to still, you want that profile to still be you. Right. Like one thing I don't want people to feel like is that they can't use their social media for them. Still, because now all of a sudden my personal profile, I'm using it in a quote unquote business way. And so now I can't be like 100% me anymore. Like there's ways to still own that, I think.
There are.
And that's,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes, that's it. And then are we ready to move on? Next question.
Yep. Question number 7, right?
Yep. So does this post match my brand? Cody.
Yep. You want me to take it away on this one?
Take it away. Talk about branding.
So does this post match my brand? I think this is kind of similar to what we've talked about already, but like, does this match like the look and the feel and the style and the emotion of what people are used to getting from me? I think when we talk about brand, sometimes people assume that we're talking about logo and colors. Like, oh, does this post match my brand? As in like, is it in the right colors? Does it have my logo on it? Is it using the right fonts? But your personal brand is much more than that. You know, it's tone. You know, like we have a client who is vegan, and we have to adjust what we post for her specifically because like we've done stuff about like the best burgers in her city. And obviously that's clearly not something that
her audience.
It does not match her personal brand, because her personal brand is her and she is vegan. So you have to make sure that the stuff that you are posting is stuff that matches who you actually are. And the kind of person that you are in real life is hopefully the same person that you are emulating on social media. And so then you make sure that those things are the same, right?
Yeah.
And that if somebody is scrolling through and they see that from you, that they are getting a consistent look, feel, experience, emotion, a view of you, whatever, all of those things kind of all together.
You want people to know what to expect so that they can easily recognize you. You don't want it to be jarring.
Yeah, because the bottom line is people put certain people in categories or in boxes, and then that's kind of like what they expect from you,
Yeah.
And so the more authentic you can be, the more the box somebody's going to put you in is going to match like who you actually are. And then they can come to expect that stuff from you. So, yeah.
Which you should still do unexpected things. We are not saying you can't ever do anything unexpected, but it's just important to think about the message that you're putting out there.
Yeah, you can still be fun and interesting and crazy and different, but like if you're normally a very outgoing, gregarious person like me, and then all of a sudden people start listening to your podcast and you sound like you're
like an NPR host.
Welcome to Luminary Agent Podcast. Then that clearly like doesn't make sense. I know, Sarah, you love it when I do that.
I love it. It's my favorite. You should just go to NPR. Come on, Cody.
Right.
I just have to point out, though, it's very ironic that right under does this post match my brand? On our blog post, we have our old branding before we rebranded. So I just think that's incredibly funny.
Well, I think I'll just put that on the to-do list then.
There we go.
Everything can't be perfect, okay? There's not.
It's true.
There's not 14 of us.
Yeah, that's also true.
So, yep, chuck that onto the list. See? So that's perfect. See, even we're not perfect. Even we're not always doing everything correct. Yep. So there you have it. Cool. Well, Sarah, I think these are 7 great questions that I think really can help people shorten the amount of time that it takes for them to really kind of knock their social media posts up a notch and start to actually do better. So should we go over one more time the 7 questions and just in order so people can remember them before they get off?
Yep, let's do it. Okay, so would I find this post interesting is number 1.
Number 2 is what one action do I want someone to take with this post?
And then number 3 is will enough people see this post?
Number 4 is will people remember this post?
Number 5, can I use this post to track leads and referrals, or is that even what I'm doing?
Right. Assuming that you're running advertising.
Correct.
Or that you are running a post that would link to your website that you could then track it organically that way.
Right.
Number 6, does this post match my audience demographics? Does it match the people who actually would see this, either my personal friends or people on my Facebook page or people who are following me on Instagram or LinkedIn, what have you.
And then number 7 is, does this post match my brand? And we also wanted to start giving you a takeaway. So if you take one thing from this podcast and start implementing it right away, then would be really happy with that. And I think that the takeaway here is think about your audience and would they find the post interesting? Really, if you're doing that, you're light years ahead of a lot of other people.
Yeah, exactly. Just post stuff that you think, you would like. If it's stuff you'd like, then it's probably something someone else would like. And if they don't like it, then maybe they're not a part of your best audience anyway, right?
Yep.
So cool. Well, this has been episode 8 of the Luminary Agent Podcast. That is 2 months in a row now that we have been doing this. I'm very proud of us for that. It's been making me. It is actually one of the best things that I really like doing. So
it's a lot of fun.
So yeah, take that one takeaway. Additionally, if you have not signed up for the Luminary Agent 14-day social media challenge, I am telling you, you are missing out. The more that I present this to people, the more people are like, holy shit, this thing is awesome. So go to luminaryagent.com/14day, 14day, and sign up for that. You can get that in Facebook Messenger or through a good old email. And if you have enjoyed this podcast and you think that it is worthy of a review, please leave us a review in the iTunes store under podcasts. And we'll mail you a big kiss or something, right? I mean, we'll do something.
Something.
So I have been Cody Martens, Luminary Agents founder and CEO.
And I'm Sarah Jacquier, Luminary Agents Content Director.
And we will talk to y'all next week. You hear? Hey!